Hi everybody, it's Kathy here, and I am back with another May I Scraplift You layout today, and I am lifting the stamp booker. Pineapple Papers is the coordinator, Crystal Barrett. She is amazing, and she has invited us all along to be creative with her, and May I Scraplift You is a fantastic month of layouts that you're going to get to see by every single person who is playing along. Now today, as I said, I am lifting Michelle, and she is so clever. And of course, when I choose to scrap lift, I don't choose an easy one. I always end up choosing ones that really grab my attention, and this one today is very different and but effective. It looks difficult. It is quite tricky. It is a bit time consuming, but I like how it comes out in the end, and it's worth spending the time and effort on it. But I learnt little tricks as I was going along the way, and of how to reduce this process a little bit easier. And what it was is I've cut from 6x6 papers strips of paper that are 3/4 inch width, and then originally I kept them in the 6x6, but then I realized that's not very conducive to what I wanted to do, and so I cut them down to 3 by 3 3/4 inches, and that allowed me to get the herringbone or the chevron-y type thing happening across the layout, and you'll see that starting to form now. And I still make a bit of a mess up here at the top, but then eventually I get the idea, but you can't see anyway in the long run when it all comes together. So it is, as I said, a little bit fiddly to get it started, but once it's started you can easily work through that process of layering the papers down, and you're just mixing and matching and coordinating so that not the same colour is next to each other. And I love the colours that I've chosen. They reflect my photos, and it's just a matter of laying them down to get the effect that you're after. Now Michelle, I'm sure on her video she will have done it very easy, and I'm sure there is a trick to it, but I've just played along, and as I do when I scrap lift, I try to work it out myself and just have a go. And as you can see, it's just layering up the strips. So the beauty of scrap lifting is that you take an idea or a concept and you make it your own. And I love that there are so many talented people out there that have so many brilliant ideas, and they are all open to people using them and creating them and adapting them and changing them for themselves. And I really love that we get to share our talents this way and learn from each other by this great process. So as you can see, I'm coming down the page. I finally worked out that if I worked it one strip at a time, I would actually be able to line it up properly and get that herringbone chevron-y type of thing happening down the layout. And the edges are a little bit rough. That doesn't matter because this is just me creating. I will be trimming it down a little bit and matting it as well, so that it picks up the full colour of this layout. Now it does, as I said, take a while. That's why I like this type of layout. It's a test of the creativity, but it's also a test of your patience at times. So you get, the other beauty of it is that I have been using my 6x6s, which is great because there are so many of them in my stash. They just need to move on and be on a layout so that they go into an album instead of on the shelf sitting there. So I'm almost down to the bottom of this first row, and then I have to work back up through the whole process. I don't make you sit through the whole process of it, but I just wanted to get you to get a feel of how to create this this pattern, so that if you wanted to have a go, you've got something to draw from, and you can draw back and have a go using the papers that you like, the ones that you choose to include in your layouts. And I like how this is coming together. Now there is a little bit of a space there, but that's okay. I go back and I fill that in, and also the embellishing goes over the top so you won't see it anyway. And now that I've put it all down, you can't tell that I've made a bit of a boo-boo there. I like the patterns in this one. They, as I said, they do reflect the colours of my photo, and that's always important when you are mixing and matching patterns and papers from different collections. So I love how this is coming together. Now, as you can see, I've got two that are matching the same there, so I had to move one. That's important that they're not backing onto each other. Now I can use this one down the bottom or somewhere else, and that's what I've done there. And that's where I've not done it correctly up the top, but that's okay. You can hardly tell anyway, and once the embellishments and the layout is completed, it's negligible. So that's the thing I wanted you to take away from this. It doesn't matter if you make a bit of a mistake. The only person who knows what it's supposed to look like is you. When it's finished, it looks like it was there all the time, and almost no one knows that there was an error there. And as you can see now, it's negligible. You can hardly tell that that one up the top there is a little bit incorrect. So I will continue down on this. It does go on, and I need to continue over to all of that white piece of paper, but I'm not going to make you watch it all. They are 3/4 inches by 3 inches, each of those strips, if you're interested in creating the herringbone effect. So I will be back when it's all done, as you can see here, and I have laid it onto a 1-inch dark blue frame. So what I'm going to do is, which is a little bit different to Michelle's, is that I'm going to add in some stamped stitching just along some of the edges, give it a bit of a Franken feel, but adding an extra bit of detail to the papers so that they have that added interest or added dimension. And I love these stitched stamps. They make it so much easier to get a little bit creative with your layouts. And I'm just doing a very messy stitch along the lines, and it looks like it's a seam in the page. I'm not doing it on every single one, I'm just doing it randomly, and it's adding just another point of interest to the layout. You know, I could have probably pulled out a sewing machine to do it, or I could have stitched by hand, and I'm sure that I've seen something similar done where it has been stitched properly with thread, but the stamping effect gives the same detail and the same look. And I'm just using that or my coverage guide here to make sure that I am not bleeding across all of the layout as I'm stamping randomly backwards and forwards to fill in some of the lines, and I'm making sure that they're not touching. Then that's the tricky part when you're planning where to stamp. So it's just to add a little bit of an extra feature and give a finishing off edge to each of those strips that I feel that I needed to do. And I love the effect that it's giving to the overall layout. You can, as I said, use faux stitching. You could also use a pen to do it. You could actually pull out a sewing machine and do it. You could even hand stitch and do it. Or like Michelle in hers, she didn't do any of those. She just left it with the pieces of paper adjoined to each other. And I just love how this has come out. And look at that. It just looks so effective. I'm just going to put in a couple more strips just where I've realised that I need to, just to get that balance happening and filling in the layout so that it looks equal across the whole spread. And that looks so much nicer with those few strips of stitching. Okay, the next thing that Michelle has on hers is a shaker box. Now, I am not very good with these shaker tags. I am not great with a shaker. I struggle to get them correct, and you'll see I was going to cut out where I've made a mistake in this, but no, I thought I'll leave it in so you can see that I actually make a terrible mistake and I have to redo it. So originally I wanted it on that nice pretty purpley pattern with the floral in it, but when I'm cutting it, I cut it wrong, and you see me do that in a moment, and I actually cut right through the tag, which does not lead itself to being a shaker. See, I wrecked it there. So I have to start again and this time I have to go with the dotted paper, which is not my first choice, but it's the choice that I'm left with, and in the end it works out all right anyway. I am ruling in where I want to cut, because normally I would eyeball it, but I just want to be a little bit more precise. And this time, instead of using the slide cutter, I get out my blade and I just cut through my blade. My blade is very sharp. It's like cutting with butter. The reason it's that sharp is my husband sharpens it on the knife sharpener in the kitchen, and that allows it to cut like butter through paper, and it's so much easier when it is that sharp. I'm now going to put down my foam thicker tape here. This gives it the depth that I need to be able to put my sequins in to create my shaker. I love that quote that it says in the background. It says, "There is nothing without passion," and that is so true. And I'm just going to prepare with the transparency on top. I have this mix here that is an acrylic mix. It's got some bows in it, it's got some little pearls, and it's got some diamantes. I'm just going to glue down a couple of bows as stopping points, so that when the shaker pieces are moving around, they've got a bit of a ledge or a landing to land and not all sink to the bottom all the time, so that when you are looking at the page you can tell that it is a shaker. Once I've done that, I've got these sequins here that are florals, and I actually tipped way too many in there, so I'm just going to remove some. And this is a laborious process when you have over tipped into your shaker. And they are all in a pearlescent colour, and the colours match the colours on the layout, so that makes a big difference as well. So now that I have my internals for my shaker, I am going to go ahead and glue it in place. Even though that double-sided foam tape is sticky, I'm adding some glue because I don't want my shaker to come apart. So I have my shaker. Look at that, it's so pretty. And then I'm just going to put down my photo. Now, this photo was taken at the Easter show recently. It's the closest I'm ever going to get to the Eiffel Tower, I reckon. No, actually, it's a dream to go there one day, and one day I will. But for the moment, it's just a whimsical dream. And so when I saw the Eiffel Tower model at the Easter show, I had to get a photo. Of course I did. And my children, of course, like, of course, Mum, stand there, and they were able to capture that moment without too many people in the background. So I've got a fussy cut pretend wax seal, which I'm adding to the top there. I have 3 little playing cards from a graphic 45 paper that says Ephemera Queen, of course, Ephemera Queen, and the other one says Be Happy, and then there's the Eiffel Tower, of course. I have the title, which is called Whimsical Dream. That's a chipboard that I painted with an acrylic paint pen and splattered with some squeezed lemonade spritz. And the Eiffel Tower there is a wood veneer that I've also coloured with an acrylic pen to tie in there. So at the top of my tag, instead of putting a bow, I have put a heart with the butterfly. I built a bit of a cluster at the top. Now, Michelle had frames is her background for her photos. I've just put like a journaling block, which I can journal, and I will when I'm off screen, and that will happen when I put it into the album. I really do like how this has come together. I'm just adding in some glitter here with my glitter pen, just so that the butterflies sparkle. You can see that they are at 3 points, setting up that visual triangle, and I also added the Nuvo drops into the 3 points to build that visual triangle around the layout, so that your eye will roam quite naturally around the photo and draw to that centre. So I love how this came together. Look at that little shaker there. It's so cute. It really does work. I am impressed that it works and isn't sticking totally to the edges. And those playing cards just add that little bit extra. And I do have a wooden postcard up there from Paris. It says it's a little button tag type thing that I've had for a while, and I've added that to the top of that cluster. So there is a playlist which I have linked down below so that you can go and check out all the people who are playing along with Crystal and May I Scraplift You. I will try and get most done, but I know I won't. I will do the best I can. Happy scrapping, everybody. Thanks for watching, and here's my next video for you. I'll see you there real soon.